Imagine waking up one morning to discover that everything you thought was real, every belief, every breakthrough, every elevated experience, was actually another layer of the same illusion. You've been told over and over that psychedelics are the gateway to truth, that cannabis opens your third eye, that MDMA reveals your deepest compassion. You've seen Instagram posts of ecstatic faces bathed in neon light, heard podcasts raving about cosmic downloads and mystical visions. Yet beneath the fanfare, something feels off, a hollow thrill that fades too quickly, leaving you strangely indifferent to the very thing that was supposed to change your life. What if none of it was real? What if every trip, every ritual, every chemical exploration was simply a clever smokescreen? From the earliest shamanic ceremonies to today's Silicon Valley microdosing craze, we've been sold the story that drugs unlock hidden dimensions. We've been shown glowing testimonies and pseudo-academic studies, all pointing to the same conclusion: the next pill, the next dose, the next brew will be the one that finally liberates us. Yet year after year, decade after decade, society's collective spiritual snapshot shows something surprising: more dependency, more emptiness, more restless souls chasing elusive highs. You might feel a twinge of irritation, perhaps even disgust, at the thought that your sincere search for meaning could be so easily manipulated. You remember the first time you believed in the promise, that warm rush of expectation, the thrill of tapping into hidden truths. But then the novelty wore off, leaving behind a faint disinterest, a shrug of indifference. That fleeting excitement no longer held power over you, and the promise of transcendence began to ring hollow. Let's be honest, there is something deeply unsettling about realizing that an experience you once held sacred might have been nothing more than an expertly crafted illusion. It feels like waking from a dream only to find yourself still trapped in a different kind of cage. You ask yourself, why did I keep coming back? Why did I assume the last journey would finally shatter the barriers? And why, after all that anticipation, did I end up feeling equally, if not more, numb? Here's the hard truth they never advertise. Chemicals don't elevate you, they sedate and distract you. They generate a momentary spectacle of color and sound, but in that dazzling display, they quietly erect walls around your mind. Walls you never even notice until you step away and realize how small the space has become. What feels like expansion is, in fact, contraction. What feels like revelation is actually redirection away from the real work. In this video, we're going to shatter the fantasy once and for all. We will expose the mechanics behind the myth, how substances hijack your natural capacity for insight, how they cultivate a dependency disguised as spiritual awakening, and how, beneath the surface, their true purpose is not to free you but to keep you wandering. By the end of our journey together, you'll understand why the slightest glow of genuine enlightenment can never be found at the end of a syringe or in the depths of a psychedelic brew. You'll see why those who seek truth through chemicals end up more disconnected than ever. And you'll discover how real freedom, true spiritual sovereignty, has nothing to do with ingestion and everything to do with inner mastery. Prepare to be surprised. Prepare to feel a measure of indignation at how easily our collective longing for transcendence has been exploited. And then prepare to let that indignation fuel a deeper, more authentic quest, one that does not depend on any substance but emerges from the disciplined practice of stillness, self-inquiry, and unwavering self-discipline. This is not a scare tactic. It is a wake-up call. The illusion ends here. If you are ready to see through the smoke and mirrors, to step beyond the labyrinth of artificial highs, then stay with me. The real journey is about to begin. When you first felt that rush, the strange mix of wonder and relief, you convinced yourself it was only the beginning. You carried that feeling like a fragile treasure, certain that on the next journey you would finally break through the barriers that once held you back. Instead, you woke up the morning after, still hollow, still longing, still somehow betrayed by an experience you had believed would change your life forever. There is a peculiar sadness in the realization that what you trusted to liberate you has, in fact, confined you. You might remember that first crackling moment of surprise when the world seemed to pulse with vibrant color, when your thoughts fluttered like birds freed from a cage. And yet, as the high faded, you returned to the same old patterns, same anxieties, same regrets, same restless ache that never quite left your chest. It's as if each trip granted a brief window of expanded perception only to drop you back into the claustrophobic room of your pre-existing condition. What's heartbreaking is not just the fleeting nature of these experiences, but the disillusionment that follows. You traded days, sometimes weeks, of sober clarity for hours of chemically induced transcendence. You sacrificed real opportunities for growth, meditation, self-reflection, disciplined study, in favor of chasing that next peak. And all the while, you carried a gnawing sense of regret. Regret for time lost, regret for the trust you placed in external substances, regret for the moments of genuine presence that slipped past you while you believed you were ascending. Anger inevitably follows sadness. You feel a surge of indignation when you recall the glossy advertisements, the glowing testimonials, the seeming experts who promised you deliverance but delivered only a carousel of highs and lows. You wonder how so many people, you among them, fell for the same lie. How did a society so intelligent, so curious, conclude that quick chemical fixes were the path to profound inner transformation? Part of the answer rests in our collective exhaustion. We live in a world where stress is chronic, distraction is constant, and genuine moments of stillness are scarce. In that context, the allure of an instant portal to expanded consciousness is understandable. To swallow a capsule or steep a brew and feel immediate relief from the weight of daily life, that promise can feel like a lifeline. It promises to lift the fog of sadness, to paint over the cracks of regret, to momentarily console the part of you that aches for meaning. But here lies the trap. Every time you reach for a substance in the hope of escape, you reinforce the belief that you cannot find peace on your own. You teach your mind that only external chemicals can still the chatter, only foreign catalysts can soften the edge of existence. Over time, this belief buries deeper roots than any spiritual teaching could ever remove. It convinces you that your natural state of being is inadequate, that you need augmentation to feel alive. Consider the case of those who navigate life with prescription spiritual regimens. A daily pill for anxiety, another for depression, perhaps a third for focus. At first, these medications can alleviate acute suffering, lending a reprieve from relentless negative thoughts. Yet many confess to a creeping emptiness, a sense that they have outsourced their emotional well-being to a pharmacy. They remember how it felt to confront pain without chemical filters. Raw, yes, but also real and ultimately redeemable through honest, sustained effort. The saddest irony is that these same individuals, once full of spark and drive, can become dulled, disenchanted, and apathetic. They watch days merge into weeks, weeks into months, with little sense of forward momentum. The motivation to engage in the very practices known to cultivate resilience, exercise, journaling, meaningful conversation, diminishes. Because when a pill or a psychedelic promises quick relief, the harder, slower work of inner transformation seems less appealing, even futile. At the heart of this is a profound betrayal, believing that any substance could replace the richness of authentic human experience. You were once capable of finding solace in a sunrise, comfort in a friend's embrace, or clarity in a moment of quiet reflection. You knew that breakthroughs happened not from ingesting a compound, but from the dedicated practice of self-awareness. Yet, seduced by the promise of a shortcut, you abandoned those practices, only to discover that the shortcut led to a dead end. This cycle of chasing and crashing, of hope followed by regret, breeds a deeper sorrow than initial disappointment. It can hollow out your capacity for genuine joy, leaving you emotionally depleted. You begin to cringe at the thought of another psychedelic journey, yet feel unable to reclaim your natural equilibrium without it. You oscillate between anger at your own weakness and shame for having surrendered your sovereignty. But recognizing this sorrow, and the anger it ignites, is the first step toward breaking free. It reveals the true cost you've paid, not just in missed opportunities for growth, but in a compromised relationship with your own mind and emotions. The way forward lies in acknowledging the sadness, honoring the anger, and channeling both into the patient restoration of inner mastery. In the next segment, we'll explore how to reclaim your innate capacity for transformation without any external crutch, so that you can step off the roller coaster of chemical highs and build a foundation of lasting resilience, presence, and genuine joy. There's a moment, often unexpected, when you realize genuine happiness isn't something you chase, it's something you become. You remember the first time you sat in silence after a long meditation, not pursuing ecstasy but simply feeling the subtle warmth of inner calm. You might have been surprised by how profound that stillness felt. No flashing lights, no sweeping visuals, just a gentle unfolding of presence that made your heart quietly hum. True joy arises not as an eruption of color in your mind, but as a tranquil glow in your chest. It unfolds gradually, like the sky brightening at dawn, awakening you to small but profound wonders. Suddenly, a simple cup of tea tastes sweeter, an early morning breeze feels like a benediction, and the laughter of a friend reverberates with the richness of genuine connection. It's a happiness so pure, so ordinary, that it catches you off guard, an amazement at how deeply life can be felt when you're fully present. This astonishment, that joy can reside in the mundane, is the first clue that something remarkable is happening. Unlike the dizzying peaks of a psychedelic trip, these moments of elation arrive unbidden. There's no calendar reminder, no ritual brew. You're simply living, paying attention, and suddenly the world seems to sparkle from within. That surprise, like discovering a hidden treasure in your own backyard, awakens a laughter so genuine it bubbles up without invitation. It's the laughter shared over an inside joke that reminds you of childhood innocence. It's the radiant smile that spreads across your face when you look into the eyes of someone you love and see reflected there your own spark of aliveness. It's the triumphant grin after conquering a personal challenge, perhaps running an extra mile, finally mastering a new skill, or speaking your truth in a difficult conversation. Each of these instances ignites an upwelling of happiness that feels more vibrant and lasting than any chemical euphoria ever could. But why does this natural joy feel so surprising after years of chasing synthetic highs? The answer lies in the contrast. When you've spent time believing that external substances are required to open your emotions, genuine delight arrives like a forgotten melody rediscovered. You realize that your nervous system, designed over millennia to experience delight in simple pleasures, has been numbed by the barrage of artificial stimuli. The first few times you commit to meditation, breathwork, or mindful movement, the sensations can feel almost alien, so quiet yet so potent that they take you by surprise. Consider the experience of a group laughter meditation session. Without a single drop of MDMA, participants begin by forcing laughter, fully aware of the absurdity. Yet as the session continues, the laughter shifts from the mechanical to the heartfelt. Tears of joy flow, bodies shake with mirth, and for a moment, every weight in the mind dissolves. That genuine release, that spontaneous outpouring of happiness, can feel startling in its authenticity. It reminds you that joy is a natural function of a heart unshackled by expectation. This discovery isn't confined to group practices. It happens in solitary moments too. Imagine waking before sunrise, wrapping yourself in a blanket, and stepping into the hush of a cool morning. The world is still, save for birdsong and the soft rustle of leaves. As you sit, eyes closed, a deep sense of aliveness washes through you. The day has not yet begun, and you realize you're being given a fresh page, a blank canvas on which anything is possible. That sensation, a gentle surge of excitement, spreads through your body. You feel triumphant simply for being awake, present, alive. True happiness thrives on these spontaneous awakenings. It doesn't demand repetition. Once you've tasted genuine joy, you don't need to recreate it through extraordinary means. It arises naturally in everyday life. You begin to notice beauty wherever you look, a shaft of sunlight illuminating dust motes, the curve of a stranger's smile, the resilience of a flower pushing through concrete. Each discovery brings a small wave of astonishment, reminding you that life itself is the greatest miracle. This transition, from the artificial peaks of drug-induced euphoria to the gentle uplifts of natural joy, unlocks a powerful shift in perception. Instead of longing for a next journey, you cultivate an ever-present gratitude. You become aware that happiness is not a destination at the end of a chemical path, but an inherent quality of a mind free from dependency. You're no longer building walls around your consciousness, you're opening windows to let in light. Elation, like any genuine emotion, grows stronger with practice. The more you engage in mindful activities, meditation, dance, creative expression, the more easily these moments of surprise and delight arise. You stop viewing joy as a rare reward and start seeing it as an ordinary companion along every step of your path. Ultimately, this joy isn't just pleasant, it's transformative. It strengthens your resolve to live authentically, to pursue growth for its own sake, and to trust in your own capacity for wonder. It dissolves the old narratives that told you true awakening could only be achieved through external substances. In their place, you embrace a new story, that every breath, every heartbeat, every smile is proof of the extraordinary gift of simply being alive. Have you ever noticed how a single spark of inspiration can set your entire being aflame? One moment, you're lounging in routine. The next, you're electrified by a sudden insight that propels you forward with exhilaration. That surge of energy, that racing heartbeat, that widening of your vision, is the purest form of enthusiasm. It's the exhilarating promise of possibility made manifest in your own body. When you break free from the cycle of chemically induced highs, you reconnect with this natural dynamism. You rediscover what it feels like to wake at dawn brimming with purpose, to pursue a creative project with laser-like focus, to meet challenges head-on with an almost contagious vigor. There's a crackling excitement in your mind, as if every cell is cheering you on, and the world around you seems to pulse in harmony with your newfound momentum. This is not the manic energy of a stimulant rush, it's the sustaining thrill of engaged presence. It arises from a clear mind, an aligned body, and an unshakable belief in your own capacities. In this state, even the smallest accomplishments, finishing a chapter of your book, learning a new chord on the guitar, mastering a complex yoga pose, feel monumental. Each success sparks fresh enthusiasm, creating a self-reinforcing loop of positivity and motivation. Imagine waking early, slipping into your running shoes, and stepping onto the path as the sky blushes pink. You start at a comfortable pace, but soon your legs move with an unexpected liveliness. The crisp air invigorates your lungs. Every breath feels like an affirmation of your aliveness. You push a little harder around that corner, and suddenly you're hitting new personal records. As you finish your run, your body quivers with triumph. You feel unstoppable, as if nothing could stand in your way. That exhilaration is the core of genuine vitality. Unlike an artificial high, it isn't followed by a crash. Instead, it sustains you throughout the day, a steady undercurrent of vigor that colors every action. You approach work tasks with buoyant confidence, tackle relationships with open-hearted enthusiasm, and face setbacks with resilient optimism. There's an infectious quality to this energy. Your excitement radiates outward, inspiring those around you to step up their own game. The element of surprise amplifies this effect. You expect good things to happen, but you're still delighted when they do. Perhaps you receive an unexpected compliment on your project, or you discover new efficiency in your morning routine. Each pleasant surprise triggers a surge of joy and encouragement, fueling your drive even further. It's as if the universe is applauding your efforts, rewarding you for every step you take toward your highest self. One practical way to harness this dynamic force is through goal setting, but with a twist. Instead of imposing rigid, joyless targets on yourself, frame each goal as a mini-adventure. For instance, rather than write 500 words today, explore a fresh idea and craft its first scene. Rather than work out for 45 minutes, challenge myself to master one new yoga posture. By injecting curiosity and playfulness into your objectives, you transform discipline into excitement. Each achievement becomes a delightful discovery rather than a chore. Accountability can amplify this momentum. Partner with a friend or join a community of like-minded individuals who share your passion. When you witness others making progress, your own energy skyrockets. You exchange stories of breakthroughs. I hit a breakthrough today in my painting. And each narrative adds fuel to the collective fire. In a supportive group, the surprise of someone's unexpected leap forward generates ripples of excitement that lift everyone's motivation. Another powerful approach is to celebrate micro-victories. Too often, we defer celebration until big milestones, completing a project, securing a promotion, hitting a major sales target, only to find that once those goals are met, the euphoria is fleeting. Instead, recognize and honor every incremental step, finishing a research outline, answering a tough email, setting up a meeting with a mentor. Each small win deserves its own moment of triumph, whether it's a literal high five with yourself or a shared shout of joy within your community. As you cultivate this habit, you'll notice how quickly your enthusiasm snowballs. Tasks that once felt daunting become invigorating challenges. Moments of doubt and hesitation shrink in the face of your growing self-confidence. You'll begin to anticipate the pleasant surprises that naturally occur when you step into inspired action. An unexpected lead on a project, a burst of creative clarity, or an encouraging word from someone you admire. This ripple effect extends far beyond your personal sphere. When you infuse your work, relationships, and creative pursuits with genuine enthusiasm, you become a beacon for others. Colleagues, friends, and even strangers pick up on your energy and feel motivated to pursue their own passions. You spark a chain reaction of positivity that spreads through communities, workplaces, and social circles. In essence, this part of the journey is about reigniting your innate fire and letting it burn brightly enough to illuminate the path ahead. It's about taking the clarifying lesson of natural joy from part 3 and translating it into sustained, dynamic momentum. No chemicals required, just the unstoppable power of your own spirit, fueled by surprising discoveries and shared celebration. Have you ever accomplished something meaningful and felt a warm glow of pride settle in your chest? Perhaps it was the moment you received praise for a project you poured your heart into, or when you finally mastered a challenging skill after weeks of dedication. That satisfying sense of, "I did it," is an emotion that transcends fleeting pleasure. It roots you in your own competence and self-respect. Yet for many of us, this feeling can be elusive, buried beneath cycles of self-doubt or colored by a twinge of regret over past missteps. In our journey toward genuine fulfillment, part of the transformation involves learning to honor each step forward, even when it's accompanied by reminders of what didn't go as planned. Imagine completing a long-term goal, say, writing a chapter of your book, and realizing that, even though it isn't perfect, you've moved from a blank page to something tangible and alive. That moment can awaken both joy and a subtle wistfulness. I wish I had started sooner. But beneath that bittersweet undertone lies an enduring foundation, the knowledge that you are capable of creating real, meaningful work. True contentment emerges when you allow yourself to fully embrace the positive emotions while acknowledging any lingering sadness or disappointment. It's the pregnant pause after a standing ovation, when the applause has died away but your heart still reverberates with warmth. In that silence, you might catch a faint echo of, "I could have done better," yet you also hear something stronger, "I made progress." It's this balance, holding pride and vulnerability in the same breath, that forges a resilient sense of self-worth. Consider a real-life story from a climbing club. One member, Sarah, had dreamed of scaling a challenging rock face for years. For every successful climb, there were failed attempts, scraped knees, and moments of frustration that threatened to derail her confidence. When she finally reached the summit, she was overcome with joy, the rush of accomplishment, the triumphant view spread out before her, and the pride in her own perseverance. Yet as she descended, she couldn't help but reflect on how much she struggled early on and how many times she considered giving up. That tinge of regret lingered yet didn't diminish her victory. Instead, it deepened it, reminding her of how far she had come and fueling an even greater confidence for her next ascent. This interplay between happiness and a touch of sadness is what makes pride so potent. It's different from the artificial high of a substance that leaves you empty after the sensation fades. Authentic pride is woven from the threads of effort, endurance, and emotional truth. It doesn't demand constant novelty or more potent stimuli. It sustains you by reminding you that you are more resourceful and stronger than you might believe in your quietest moments of self-doubt. To cultivate this lasting sense of contentment and pride, begin by creating a victories journal. Each evening, write down one thing you accomplished that day, no matter how small. Maybe you had a difficult conversation with a friend, or you resisted the urge to scroll social media and instead read a few pages of a book. Maybe you prepared a healthy meal, completed an exercise routine, or simply showed kindness to a stranger. By capturing these moments, you train your mind to recognize and savor genuine achievement. Over time, as your list grows, you'll open the journal on a tough day and see a record of your resilience and consistent progress. Another powerful practice is to share your successes with a supportive community. Humans are social creatures, and our achievements feel more meaningful when witnessed and celebrated by others. Seek out peers, online or in person, who value personal growth and share your enthusiasm. When you post about a milestone or mention it during a gathering, give yourself permission to bask in the positive feedback. Let their congratulations reinforce your own sense of self-worth rather than dismiss or downplay your accomplishments. Yet, even as you relish these moments, don't shy away from acknowledging any accompanying disappointment or regret. If you notice the familiar pang of, "I could have done more," turn toward it with curiosity. Ask yourself, what held me back? What lessons can I draw for next time? This reflective pause prevents pride from veering into complacency. It ensures that contentment doesn't breed stagnation and that gratitude for progress coexists with a constructive drive for continual improvement. Mindful self-talk can further anchor this balanced perspective. Instead of letting inner critics dominate, "That wasn't good enough," cultivate an inner cheerleader that affirms, "I'm proud of what I accomplished and I'm committed to learning. I honor this victory and welcome the lessons from any missteps." Repeat these affirmations before important tasks or whenever self-doubt surfaces. Over time, this practice rewires your internal narrative to one of respect, compassion, and forward momentum. Physical rituals can also reinforce the emotional truth of your achievements. After completing a significant task, pause for a moment of ceremony, take a few deep breaths, place your hand over your heart, and consciously feel the sensation of pride. Notice the alertness in your eyes, the uprightness of your posture, the subtle warmth in your chest. These embodied rituals help encode the memory not just in your mind but in your body's muscle memory, making the emotion more accessible in future challenges. Finally, integrate your daily victories into a broader vision of purpose. Ask yourself, how do these small wins align with my greater goals? If your long-term aim is to cultivate creativity, then each paragraph written or sketch completed is a brick laid in the foundation of your creative life. If your mission is to deepen relationships, each act of kindness or honest conversation is a thread weaving you closer to authentic connection. By contextualizing your pride within a larger storyline, you connect fleeting successes to an enduring journey, one that bestows lasting meaning beyond any single moment. In this way, you transform pride into an ally, not a fleeting buzz, but a trustworthy compass pointing you toward continued growth. You build a reservoir of contentment that sustains you through challenges and inspires you to aim higher. And perhaps most importantly, you learn to cherish the unfolding process, celebrating each milestone with genuine happiness, acknowledging your humanity, and moving forward with quiet confidence. There's a thrill that courses through your body when inspiration strikes. Your pulse quickens, your mind sparks with possibilities, and a subtle tension coils in your belly, equal parts exhilaration and nervous anticipation. That combination of eager excitement and mild unease is exactly the energy you want to harness to drive meaningful change. It's the edge of transformation, where comfort ends and growth begins. Imagine waking one morning with a vivid vision. You see yourself standing on the edge of a new chapter, launching that passion project, implementing a healthier routine, speaking your truth in a daunting conversation. Your heart flutters with joy at the prospect of what could be, yet you also feel a small knot of worry in your stomach. What if I fail? What if I'm not ready? These questions are not signs of weakness. They're indicators that you're pushing beyond familiar boundaries. The key is to welcome both emotions as allies. Enthusiasm fuels your commitment, while that trace of anxiety sharpens your focus. Together, they create a potent mix that propels you forward. When you feel the rush of excitement, let it ignite your first step, no matter how small. When you sense the flutter of nerves, let it heighten your awareness, sharpening your planning and preparation. Break it down, then buckle in. Big goals can feel overwhelming, triggering a spiral of worry that stifles action. Instead of fixating on the mountain's peak, map out the first few footholds. If you're starting a new morning routine, choose one element, like a 5-minute breathing practice upon waking. If you're writing a book, commit to drafting 200 words before breakfast. That narrow focus channels your excitement into tangible momentum. Each completed foothold banishes a sliver of anxiety and reinforces your confidence. 2. Use the anxious spark as a signal. Notice when your chest tightens or your palms sweat, signs of that underlying worry. Instead of avoiding these sensations, treat them as cues that you're on the brink of growth. When they arise, pause for a breath, acknowledge the feeling and say internally, I feel nervous. That means I'm doing something that matters. This reframe transforms anxious tension from a block into a beacon, guiding you toward the next necessary action. 3. Anchor action with ritual. Rituals bridge intention and execution. Create a simple routine that signals the start of your work. A cup of herbal tea, lighting a candle, 5 deep breaths, or a short mantra like, I am ready. These consistent cues anchor your mindset, transforming scattered excitement into focused energy. Over time, the ritual itself becomes a trigger that shifts your nervous system from doubt to determined action. 4. Leverage social accountability. When you share your goal publicly, whether with a friend, an online group, or a mentor, you amplify the weight of commitment. That pulse of excitement becomes communal enthusiasm, while the tiny fear of letting others down sharpens your resolve. For example, Maya, a graphic designer, announced her intent to launch an art series within 30 days on a creative forum. Each day, she posted progress photos. The community's cheering kept her exhilarated, and the gentle fear of missing her own deadline motivated her to create even on low-energy days. By day 30, Maya had a full collection and a newfound confidence in her ability to follow through. 5. Celebrate micro-action wins. Every time you act, whether you meditate, draft an email, or go for a jog, acknowledge it. Give yourself a quick mental high five or jot it in a micro-action log. This celebration magnifies your joy, and the log becomes proof that you're moving forward even when progress feels slow. Over days and weeks, these micro-wins compound, shifting your identity from someone who wants change to someone who does change. 6. Embrace the productive pause. Action need not be relentless. Sometimes, the wisest move is to step back, breathe, and integrate. When you complete a significant microtask, pause for a moment of stillness. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the sensations of achievement blend with the flutter of anticipation for what's next. This pause replenishes your energy, prevents burnout, and allows you to approach subsequent steps with fresh enthusiasm. 7. Tune into your evolving energy. As you progress, pay attention to shifts in your excitement and anxiety. Ideally, over time, that bright spark of joy will become steadier and the knot of worry will diminish. If anxiety spikes unexpectedly, view it as a signal to reassess. Perhaps you need more preparation or to adjust your approach. If excitement wanes, revisit your why, the deeper purpose that first ignited your desire for change. 8. Reflect and refine. Set weekly check-ins with yourself. Celebrate how far you've come, note the lessons learned, and adjust your plan for the coming week. Recognize that adaptive action, refining your methods based on experience, is itself a powerful form of momentum. It shows you're engaged, attentive, and committed to real growth. By consciously blending thrill and tension, Harnessing the joy of possibility alongside the productive edge of worry, you transform fleeting motivation into a sustainable force. This dynamic interplay fuels courageous steps, ensuring that each action, no matter how small, resonates with purpose and power. In the next segment, we'll explore how to translate this sustained energy into a profound sense of pride and satisfaction that endures well beyond individual achievements. There comes a moment when your journey of transformation reaches a crescendo, a point where the thrills of discovery and the steady march of progress converge into a swell of profound pride. You've reclaimed your natural joy, that warm, glowing sensation in your chest, and you've harnessed your enthusiasm to take tangible steps forward. Now, as you pause to look back, you see a trail of achievements laid out like stepping stones across a river. Each one marked by a challenge overcome, a fear faced, a moment of disciplined effort. It's in this pause that elation and a subtle undercurrent of panic intertwine. Pride floods your senses. You're astonished by how far you've come and exhilarated at the sight of the horizon ahead. Yet, beneath that bright buoyancy, a flicker of anxiety might surge. What if I lose this momentum? What if my next step falters? This mingling of unbridled joy with a trace of panic is nothing to fear. It's evidence that you're stretching your comfort zone, that your growth curve is steep enough to keep you alert. 1. Standing in your triumph. Take a moment, right now, to stand tall, breathe deeply, and feel the weight of your accomplishments. Whether you're reading these words or hearing them in your mind, widen your posture, roll your shoulders back, and lift your chin. Physically embody the feeling of success. Notice how your chest expands, how your gaze becomes more confident, how your thoughts shift from doubt to certainty. This embodiment not only cements the emotion of pride in your body but also signals to your nervous system that you're ready for the challenges that lie ahead. 2. Acknowledging the joy-panic paradox. The surge of happiness that comes from knowing you've mastered new skills or reached important milestones can be so intense that it triggers a pang of panic, fear that it won't last, that you're on the brink of stumbling. Instead of shying away from this duality, lean into it. Whisper to yourself, I feel proud and a little scared, that means I'm growing. This simple mantra transforms panic from a paralyzing force into a signpost indicating the edge of your comfort zone, the exact place where real transformation lives. 3. Rituals of honor and reassurance. To consolidate your joy and soothe the flutter of panic, establish an honoring ritual. It could be as simple as lighting a candle and writing a short note to yourself. Today, I celebrate specific accomplishment. I trust in my ability to continue. Or perhaps you choose a more physical ceremony, like placing a hand over your heart and tapping 3 times, each tap accompanied by a deliberate slow breath. These rituals serve dual purposes. They honor your success and embed within you the reassurance that you have the inner resources to face what comes next. 4. Sharing your triumph. Pride deepens when it's shared. Reach out to a trusted friend, mentor, or community and let them in on your victory. Describe your journey in vivid detail. The obstacles you encountered, the strategies you used, the moment you felt the swell of triumph. Observe how their genuine excitement mirrors and amplifies your own. That shared energy creates a feedback loop of positivity that fortifies your confidence and tempers any residual panic with the knowledge that you're supported. 5. Reflecting on the path behind and ahead. Grab a journal or open a fresh document. In one column, list the key milestones you've achieved, from the first tiny victory to the most recent breakthrough. Under each, note the skills you developed and the emotional hurdles you overcame. In a second column, outline the next set of goals or adventures you wish to pursue. Seeing your past successes alongside future aspirations creates a visual bridge. It reminds you that your trajectory is one of continuous upward momentum, even when anxiety whispers that you might falter. 6. Transforming panic into preparatory power. That small knot of panic swirling beneath your pride can be converted into preparedness. Use it as an internal cue. When you notice that flutter, ask, what can I plan or practice to feel more confident? Perhaps it's refining your presentation for an upcoming workshop, rehearsing a conversation you dread, or researching best practices for a new endeavor. By taking concrete preparatory steps, you channel panic's energy into productive action, transforming fear's tension into a springboard for readiness. 7. Celebrating through movement. Movement is medicine for both joy and anxiety. Create a celebratory movement ritual, a dance, a run, a series of power poses that embodies your elation and shakes off lingering tension. Turn on a song that makes your heart race with happiness and let your body respond freely, arms raised, feet stomping, breath expanding. Feel the ecstasy of being fully alive in motion, and allow each movement to ground your joy in the present moment. 8. Reinforcing a new identity. With each triumph honored and each panic-fueled step planned, you weave a new identity, one of resilient confidence. Begin each morning by affirming, "I am the kind of person who celebrates progress and prepares for growth." Write it on a sticky note by your mirror or set it as an alarm label. Over time, this identity statement will shift your subconscious wiring, making pride and proactive planning your default responses whenever exhilaration and anxiety collide. By embracing the synergy of joy and panic, you transform the edge of your comfort zone into a launchpad. You learn that happiness and fear aren't opposing forces but complementary signals guiding you toward deeper mastery. This integration ensures that your pride remains steadfast, your energy sustained, and your vision expansive. You stand now at the edge of a new horizon, your heart thrumming with the bright pulse of possibility. Throughout this journey, you've dismantled the illusions of chemical shortcuts, rediscovered genuine joy, harnessed the spark of enthusiasm, cultivated proud contentment, and learned to dance with the exhilarating tension of growth. Now comes the moment that pulls every strand together, a resounding call to action that stirs excitement in your veins even as a flicker of anxious restlessness whispers, "What if I'm not ready to change everything?" That tension, equal parts eagerness and unease, is your compass. It signals that you are on the verge of true transformation. It reminds you that stepping beyond familiar territory is never painless, yet it offers the richest rewards. Imagine for a moment what your life could look like if you fully embrace this invitation, a daily practice of mindful presence that fuels unwavering clarity, relationships deepened by authentic vulnerability, creative projects born from unshakable confidence, health and vitality radiating from disciplined self-care. The vision is electrifying, and it demands action. 1. Own your excitement. Let the thrill of possibility surge through you. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and feel the exhilaration as your mind paints images of what's possible. Yourself standing on a stage, sharing your truth, your hands crafting art that moves others, your body smiling with strength and energy. Allow that feeling to wash over you like sunlight, warming every cell. Write down 3 words that capture this excitement, maybe limitless, unstoppable, or radiant. Post them somewhere you'll see daily to keep your inner fire stoked. 2. Acknowledge the restlessness. Now turn your attention to that subtle undercurrent of anxiety. Notice the quickening in your chest, the light tension at the base of your skull. Rather than dismissing it, listen to it. What fears surface? Is it fear of failure, of judgment, of the unknown? Write them down without judgment. By giving your worries a name, you take away their stealth power and bring them into the light of conscious awareness. 3. Merge emotion with strategy. Transforming restlessness into actionable fuel involves pairing your excitement with a concrete plan. For each fear you identified, map out one small step you can take today to address it. If you fear judgment for speaking your truth, commit to sharing a brief insight with a trusted friend. If you worry about failing at a new habit, choose a micro goal, like 5 minutes of practice, that feels manageable. By aligning your emotional energy with precise actions, you convert nervous tension into purposeful momentum. 4. Declare your commitment. Public declarations amplify accountability and intensify excitement. Craft a concise commitment statement. I choose to live with clarity, discipline, and courageous action starting now. Share it with someone who believes in you. Post it in an online community, send it to a mentor, speak it aloud to a friend. Feel the surge of pride when you witness their support. This act of declaration cements your intention and invites collective energy to bolster your resolve. 5. Design your launch ritual. Rituals bridge intention with reality. Create a simple yet powerful launch ceremony that marks your entry into this new chapter. It could involve a brief meditation, the lighting of a candle, playing a stirring piece of music, or journaling 3 affirmations. Choose elements that resonate with your spirit and infuse them with meaning. Perform this ritual at the same time each day, perhaps first thing in the morning, to anchor your commitment in daily practice. 6. Mobilize your support network. Transformation is rarely a solo endeavor. Reach out to people who uplift you, friends, coaches, peers in a growth-oriented group. Enlist their support in practical ways. A weekly accountability check-in, shared goal tracking documents, or simply a regular chat where you exchange progress and insights. When you rally together, each member's excitement becomes a shared resource, and any lingering restlessness dissolves in the safety of communal encouragement. 7. Track your progress fearlessly. Set up a visible tracking system, whether a whiteboard, a habit tracking app, or a notebook. For every action you commit to, mark each day you follow through. Don't aim for perfection. Instead, celebrate consistency. Each checkmark becomes a testament to your dedication, amplifying your excitement and dimming the power of doubt. Over time, as the grid fills with evidence of your efforts, you'll feel an unstoppable surge of confidence that carries you forward. 8. Embrace imperfection as growth. Remember, restlessness and missteps are not signs of failure but indicators that you're pushing boundaries. When you stumble, miss a habit, feel overwhelmed, or encounter unexpected challenges, treat the moment as data, not defeat. Ask yourself, what does this teach me? How can I adjust my approach? By reframing mistakes as opportunities for refinement, you maintain forward momentum and transform anxious tension into resilient adaptability. 9. Visualize your future self. Each evening, spend a minute envisioning yourself 6 months from now, radiant, empowered, living with the clarity and mastery you're cultivating today. Feel the pride in your posture, the lightness in your step, the depth of your inner calm. Allow this vivid mental image to stir both excitement and purposeful restlessness. Excitement to witness your progress, restlessness to ensure you don't settle for less. 10. Commit to lifelong evolution. The journey you've embarked upon is not a one-time sprint but a lifelong adventure. Make a pledge: I will continue learning, growing, and refining, always guided by clarity and self-mastery. Frame this pledge as an ongoing ritual, perhaps a quarterly review or a yearly retreat, so that you remain perpetually open to new heights of growth. Now, take a final breath and anchor into your body. Feel your feet on the ground, your chest rising and falling. You are both the architect and the vessel of this grand transformation. The excitement coursing through you is your fuel, the restlessness is your guide. Step forward with intention, heart ablaze, and trust that every action you take, no matter how small, echoes across the landscape of your life, shaping your destiny in profound ways.